I would like to play 2 more years, next year and the year after that. I would like to play next year. I don't think I would like to play more after that.
December 31st, 1972. A plane crashes into the Atlantic Ocean. On board, a baseball legend who gave up everything, including his life, to help strangers he'd never met. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you about the most incredible athlete you've probably never heard enough about. Roberto Clemente connects. That ball is going, gone. His third 1,000th hit, a double off the right field wall.
For Roberto Clemente, reaching 3,000 hits allowed him to reach a milestone that Babe Ruth hadn't reached, that Lou Gehrig hadn't reached, that Mickey Mantle hadn't reached. It showed that this was an all-time great player.
But here's what will absolutely shock you. Those incredible statistics barely scratched the surface of this man's true greatness. Today's story gave me chills when I first researched it, and I guarantee it's going to change how you think about what it means to be a true champion. This is Roberto Clemente, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why he's not just a baseball legend, but one of the greatest human beings who ever lived. But before we dive in, here's what's coming. We'll see how a kid who made his first glove from a coffee sack became the first Latino Hall of Famer, witness one of the greatest World Series performances ever, and discover how his final act of heroism literally changed the world. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for that ending, because it's unlike anything you've ever heard in sports. August 18th, 1934. Barrio San Anton, Puerto Rico. Roberto Clemente Walker is born to Melchor, a sugar plantation foreman, and Luisa, who took in laundry to make ends meet. Picture this, a humble wooden house where every peso counted, 7 kids in the family. Roberto was the youngest, and like every kid in 1930s Puerto Rico, baseball wasn't just a game, it was hope. It was a ticket to something bigger. But here's where Roberto's story gets incredible. While other kids played with store-bought equipment, this kid crafted his own glove from a coffee sack. He used a broomstick for a bat and crushed empty tin cans around the neighborhood. Now, I want you to really think about that for a second. This kid had nothing, but he had everything that mattered: talent, determination, and a dream that burned so bright it could light up an entire island. By age 14, Roberto wasn't just playing baseball, he was redefining it. His arm strength was so legendary that teammates would stop everything just to watch him throw from right field to home plate. Perfect strikes every single time. Roberto is just 17 years old when Brooklyn Dodgers scout Al Campanis watches him play in Puerto Rico. What happens next changes baseball history forever. Campanis offers Roberto a $10,000 signing bonus and $5,000 salary. To put that in perspective, that was more money than Roberto's father made in several years combined. But here's the problem. The Dodgers already had a packed outfield. They sent Roberto to Montreal and barely played him. Classic case of signing talent just to keep it away from competitors. But baseball had rules, and sometimes those rules create legends. In 1954, the last place Pittsburgh Pirates had first pick in the Rule 5 draft. They selected Roberto Clemente for $4,000. $4,000 for a future Hall of Famer. Talk about the deal of the century. Now here's where Roberto's story becomes really powerful. This is 1955 America. Being a Black Latino player in Major League Baseball meant facing challenges that went way beyond anything that happened between the lines. Language barriers, cultural isolation, prejudice that would have broken most people. When Roberto spoke about injuries, sports writers called him a complainer. When he expressed pride in his Puerto Rican heritage, some called him arrogant. But listen to what Roberto said. "I am proud to be a Puerto Rican. I want to be remembered as a ball player who gave all he had to give." Do you hear that? This man wasn't just playing for himself. He was carrying the hopes and dreams of every Latino kid who looked at a baseball field and dared to dream big. Roberto hits .314 with 16 home runs and 94 RBIs, leading the Pirates to their first World Series in 33 years. But it's Game 7 against the mighty New York Yankees where Roberto announces himself to the world. Everyone remembers Bill Mazeroski's walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth. But what they forget is that Roberto's clutch hitting throughout that entire series made that magical moment possible. The 1960s belonged to Roberto Clemente, 4 batting titles, 12 consecutive Gold Glove awards, 15 All-Star selections. But here's what statistics can't capture. Roberto played with a combination of grace, power, and passion that was absolutely magnetic. His arm was so ridiculously strong that runners literally stopped testing him. I'm talking about throws from the warning track to home plate that arrived like guided missiles. His swing was poetry in motion, that smooth, powerful stroke that could turn any pitch into a line drive to any part of the field. This wasn't just a great player. This was greatness itself walking around in a baseball uniform. Roberto's absolute peak, National League MVP, .317 average, 29 home runs, 119 RBIs, but it was his all-around excellence that impressed voters. The hitting, the fielding, the throwing, the base running. Roberto wasn't just elite at one thing. He was elite at everything baseball required. October 1971. This is where Roberto's legend reaches mythical proportions. The Pittsburgh Pirates are facing the Baltimore Orioles, a team with 4 20-game winners and a lineup full of all-stars. The Orioles are heavily favored, and most experts think it won't even be close. They didn't count on 37-year-old Roberto Clemente putting on the greatest individual World Series performance in baseball history. Game after game, Roberto dominates. He hits safely in all 7 games, batting .414, with clutch hit after clutch hit. But it was more than statistics. Roberto played with a fire that lifted his entire team. The signature moment. Game 6 facing elimination, 10th inning. Roberto steps up against Baltimore's Pat Dobson and launches a walk-off home run that forces Game 7. When the Pirates won that World Series, Roberto was named MVP. After years of being overlooked and underappreciated, he finally had his moment on baseball's biggest stage. A 37-year-old man proving to the entire world that Latino players belonged at the very top of the sport. September 30th, 1972. Three Rivers Stadium. Roberto steps into the batter's box with 2,999 career hits, chasing a milestone only 10 players in baseball history had reached. The pitcher, John Matlack of the New York Mets. The count runs to 1-1. Then Roberto does what he's done thousands of times before, unleashes that beautiful swing and sends a line drive off the right field wall. Hit number 3,000. The crowd erupts. His teammates pour out of the dugout. Roberto stands on second base, raising his cap to acknowledge the ovation, knowing he just joined baseball's most exclusive club. What nobody in that stadium knew was that they had just witnessed Roberto Clemente's final hit, his last at-bat, his final moment as a baseball player. History has a way of creating perfect endings, and Roberto's 3,000th hit was as perfect as they come. But here's what made Roberto truly special, and this is where his story becomes bigger than baseball. Every winter, Roberto returned to Puerto Rico and spent his off-season helping underprivileged children, organizing baseball clinics, working to improve conditions in poor communities. Roberto understood something that many athletes never grasp. Success comes with responsibility. He dreamed of building sports facilities throughout Latin America. He wanted to create opportunities for kids who might never get a chance otherwise. As Roberto often said, anytime you have an opportunity to make a difference in this world and you don't, then you are wasting your time on Earth. That quote gives me chills every time I read it, because Roberto didn't just say it, he lived it. December 23, 1972. A massive 6.2 magnitude earthquake strikes Managua, Nicaragua. Over 5,000 people killed, hundreds of thousands homeless. When Roberto hears about the disaster, he immediately begins organizing relief efforts from Puerto Rico. Using his fame and connections, he collects food, medicine, and supplies for the earthquake victims. But then Roberto discovers something that breaks his heart. The supplies are being stolen by corrupt officials before reaching the people who need them most. So Roberto makes a decision that will define his legacy forever. He will personally accompany the next relief flight to ensure the supplies reach their intended destination. December 31st, 1972. New Year's Eve, Roberto boards a DC-7 cargo plane loaded with relief supplies bound for Nicaragua. The plane is overloaded. It has a history of mechanical problems. People try to talk him out of going. But Roberto Clemente has made a promise, and Roberto Clemente never breaks his promises. At 9:22 p.m., just minutes after takeoff from San Juan, the overloaded DC-7 crashes into the Atlantic Ocean about a mile offshore. Roberto Clemente, the greatest player in Pittsburgh Pirates history, the first Latino superstar, baseball's humanitarian hero, is gone at age 38. Not pursuing personal glory, not chasing another record, but trying to help strangers in their darkest hour. In 1973, the Baseball Hall of Fame does something unprecedented. They waive their mandatory 5-year waiting period and induct Roberto immediately. He becomes the first Latino player enshrined in Cooperstown. Major League Baseball creates the Roberto Clemente Award, given annually to the player who best exemplifies sportsmanship, community involvement, and contribution to their team. But Roberto's greatest legacy isn't in awards or statistics. Today, nearly 30% of Major League Baseball players are Latino. They play with the confidence and pride that Roberto Clemente made possible. Every time you see a player from the Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, or any Latin American country celebrating their heritage, you're seeing Roberto's influence. In December 2020, nearly 50 years after his death, Roberto was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, America's highest civilian honor. You know, when I first started researching this story, I thought I was learning about a great baseball player. What I discovered was so much more. Roberto Clemente didn't just collect hits, he collected hearts. He didn't just break records, he broke barriers. He didn't just play a game, he changed the world. The kid from Barrio San Anton who crafted his first glove from a coffee sack proved something incredible. That champions aren't made in stadiums. They're made in the choices they make when nobody's watching. Roberto died as he lived, not thinking about personal glory, but putting others first. Here's my challenge to you, and I want you to really think about this. Roberto showed us that having any kind of platform, whether you're a superstar athlete, a student, a parent, or someone with a few followers on social media, comes with responsibility. You have opportunities to make a difference right where you are. The question is, what will you do with them? I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me about someone in your life who put others before themselves, just like Roberto did. Share a story about an everyday hero who made your world better. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read every single comment and heart the ones that truly embody Roberto's spirit. If this story moved you, and you want to discover more athletes whose impact went far beyond their sport, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell right now. Plus, I'm dropping a community post this week asking you to vote on which sports legend we cover after that. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. Thanks for watching Chronicles of the Game, where legends never die and greatness lives forever. Roberto Clemente proved that the greatest victory of all isn't what you win for yourself. It's what you sacrifice for others. I'll see you champions in the next one. Keep chasing greatness.